Black Flag March for Veterans Voices presents the Old Adobe Rd Report. This particular video is kind of came to me over the last couple of days since I've been doing this march on Petaluma. You know, I've been walking Old Adobe, but I've been pulling a circuit going around Petaluma a lot, seeing a lot of people, a lot of different situations. There was this point where I was, coming across this one individual, and he was on a bike, and when you're out walking around for any kind of like decent distance, you tend to run into bikes, and you come to learn pretty quickly that people on bikes tend to be some of the biggest bullies on the road. They have a pretty big lobby too. They have their own signs on the road talking about sharing the road and this and that, and they're certainly not trying to share the road. It's funny because they got their lobbies to get them their signs because they're complaining that cars are bullying them on the road. And then they just do the same thing to people who are walking, just regular actual pedestrians. They'll just buzz right past you. It's insane. They just completely they won't have any kind of common courtesy. They'll just come up right behind you and treat you like you're a flag on a solemn course, And especially when you think about those people on those electric bikes, man, they're superhumanly flying past you. And if you don't have eyes on the back of your head, so what? You're walking, you decide, hey, I'm gonna go walk over by this tree, and the next thing you know, you get clipped by some old person going 80. An 80-year-old person going 80, and they're ready anyway. You see it in their eyes. It's crazy. They are ready. It's probably like their son got to it. Their son was done. It's like, hey, I stand to inherit. I'm gonna get Dad a electric bike this year. Send him out on the road. You can tell they're not fully in control, and they're definitely going fast enough to where they should be on a regular road, not brushing past people who are just trying to walk, enjoy the day. It's insane. So many people out there just completely self-centered. People getting inside their cars, acting like they're better than you just because you're walking on the side of the road. It's pretty wild to think about. Like, you'll have somebody, you just be trying to cross the road, and you'll have somebody abruptly come to a stop and then kind of stare at you and act like, well, hurry up. And it's like, well, first of all, guy, you're not in charge of when and where I move and all of that, so it's like, calm down. First of all, just because you think you're more important doesn't make it so. So there's just a lot that can be said on that whole situation. And I'm sure all the people like this guy right here is probably wondering what's going on because I got this camera right now. But this is where Black Flag March for Veterans Voices has been marching for weeks now on Old Adobe Rd and around Petaluma. And honestly, it was a break from the previous route that I was taking. I was taking 2 routes, or actually it was 3 routes, and it was more of an inner city thing, longer miles, and it was just brutal, and it wasn't sustainable. And so I was like, I just need to do one route around, something that I can track on all trails, and just continue having the march be visible on a daily basis and active on a daily basis, you know. And so that's what I've been doing. And since I've been out here, you know, I just, like this position right I'm in right now, like you think about it, I'm walking down the line, I'm on my side of the line. If I were a bike, there wouldn't be a question as to whether or not this person would absolutely, you know, absolutely give me room. But as you'll see, there's been times since I've been out here that I've actually been run off the road. That actually happens more times than not. And I guarantee you one thing, if I was a bike, not only would I be able to be on the outside part of the line, I could be on the actual road side of the line, and everybody in their cars would bend over backwards to sit there and make sure I had enough room to exist and not run me off the road. But you know, it was just like last week, and I think that was pretty much it. Because I was out here, I was trying to find balance. I was like, you know, hey, you know, find some balance. You give, I give, or whatever. But the thing is they don't. Generally speaking, they don't. Like I will, like this right here. Like I'll find like a little spot right here where it's like, all right, cool. This isn't horrible because there's, you know, there's rocky and stuff like that, but it's not all this crazy grass that'll, you know, stick you because it's like super crazy and rigid, you know. So it's not good to walk on. And the thing about it too is, like, you think about this. Walking is like the First Amendment. It's like the core of our personal transportation, you know, to be able to put our boots on and just hit the freaking road, you know. It's like, you know what, I'm out of here. I'm freaking gone, bro. I'm gonna leave it all behind. That's such a personal right to be able to do, to be able to walk. And for these people to act like somehow they have more of a right to be on this road than I. And it's the trip. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, you know, people have been walking on roads for thousands of years, and the reality is, like, people have only been driving, like, actively driving on roads. It's been less than 100 years. And I say that because, you know, I know cars have been around for longer than that, but for it to be what it is now, that didn't really start until after the 40s, I would think. Maybe, you know, it wasn't that common, you know. You think it really started to be a thing once the American road trip was invented, you know, on Route 66 and all that kind of stuff, you know. And those roads were garbage. Those roads were actually more like this road, and probably worse. But even that, like, even at that point, they were willing to sit there and go, you know what, we need to yield to horses or whatever. At least back in the earlier days, right? It's like they understood that there was, like, other forms of transportation, and that their little narcissistic bubbles and their little worlds, you know, aren't, you know, the pinnacle of all, and we have to just bow down and get out of your friggin' way, you know. And it's interesting because I've been making myself more visible. Like, since I got ran off the road, I've actually been standing my ground more, and that might seem a little odd, but it is actually more of a, hey, look, I'm right here, guy, kind of a thing. Like, hey, give me space, man. Just, you know, I have a right to be here. And I'll ask questions. Like, I'll look at somebody at the car and be like, hey, if I was a bike, we wouldn't even be having this argument. You know what I mean? Because if I was a bike, they would actually slow down. And that's the thing about it, is I have a lot fewer options than they do right now. If you look at where I'm at, like, should I actually be walking in this crazy grass here? And people would get asked, it's like, well, what are you walking there for in the first place? It's like, well, first of all, because I have a right to. There you go. And this is a part of an organized march that I'm doing. So, and it's around this city where I live, and I've lived here for 5 years. And right now I'm making a point about a road that is on the backside of this city, and it runs into another road that runs into another road. And this whole section basically is notorious for really dangerous and fast and obnoxious driving. And it's because you got all these people from the city coming out to Sonoma County thinking, hey, let's go live it up a little bit. It's beautiful out there. And so they get on these back roads and they think, screw it, man, I'm just going to burn through here. Regardless regardless of how safe it is. Like, I just had to brush these guys off because they're getting ready to push me into these weeds. And it's like, no, I don't think so. Because in reality, because I know how to drive. In reality, it's like when you get your driver's license, a part of what you're supposed to be doing on the road is looking as far down the road as you can and adjusting what you're doing in your vehicle according to what you see on the road. So I don't care. Like, I really don't care if they're like, oh, how dare you walk on the road? It's like, well, how dare you not take more of the options that you have available, like slowing down? How about you brush off the other lane by hugging that middle line? How about that? Because they actually have other space on that other lane too that they can sit there because they see me too. So again, the point is like, people act like, oh, what do I do? It's like, I have nothing better. Like, all I can do is buzz that white line. It's like, no, dude. This right here is the section, I think, if I remember, where I had to jump down this ditch, and it's like, what am I gonna do? And it was I gotta say, it was a good sized truck, so it was like, there's no way I'm gonna try to contend with that, you know. And I'm sure they felt righteous too, like, well, how dare I exist because they, they're a big truck, what are they gonna do? And the thing is, like, the people in the other lane see you too, so the other people in the other lane would absolutely abide by, hey, a big truck's brushing me off, I need to slow down or stop. And they will. And that's just because they would do all that. They would do all that for a bike. That's the thing about it. They would do all that for a bike. See, this kind of the spot right here is like, I will yield and I will meander for a minute. Because I'm like, I don't like being on that line. Not a whole lot of option now. Like, it seems like that might be a decent place to walk off, but it's not. That shit will stab you in your feet, Unless you're wearing hiking boots, and I'm not wearing hiking boots out here. And then I shouldn't have to, for crying out loud. Like, these people should actually be slowing down, And again, if it was a bike, there wouldn't be a question. And there's another point that I've been wanting to make regarding this sort of a thing, because almost guaranteed, all these people are like, well, why are you walking against traffic? Well, because it's safer. Basically, like, if you consider what I've witnessed since because I walk facing traffic and I see the risks that these people take with my life when I'm facing them, imagine what they do when I'm not. Imagine how much closer they get to me when I'm not paying attention. So it's like, no, sorry, I don't trust like that. And so, yeah, I walk facing traffic and they can just eat it because I don't care. And there is no law that says I have to walk with traffic. I think bikes are supposed to actually flow with traffic, but that's just it. They're in and out. That's why I consider them to be the biggest bullies on the road, actually, because they will bully their way through traffic, and then they'll jump on the sidewalk and bully their way with all the pedestrians. And then they'll act like the pedestrian's a dick for not getting out of the way. It's insane, So I guess I want to sit there and suggest that Black Flag March for Veterans Voices is becoming also an advocate for the everyday walker, the everyday pedestrian, the actual pedestrian, not the person on the bike. Because I'm sick of it. Like, I'm going to do my best to actually document it. Because, I think people know what I'm saying anyway. That's the reality, is like, people know. You see it. You see these bikes, and it's just dicky. They're all dressed up like they think they're freaking Lance Armstrong, And it's like, give me a break, bro. It's like, there is no way. Especially around here, actually. Sonoma County is, like, notorious for that guy. Especially you go, like, the West County. Oh, my goodness. Good luck. Good luck trying to go to the beach through, like, Guerneville and stuff. Tell you what. You get some clown on a bike just backs up traffic because I have a right to be here. It's like, all right, yeah, you do. You certainly do. And it's funny, is like, I'm going back and forth on that, because it's like, if I was walking, it's like, yeah, but if I was walking, that is a little different. Because as a matter of fact, I actually can sort of duck off to the side of the road if I needed to, you know what I mean? And I don't. I am not really trying to assert too much. Again, as what I'm doing right now, I'm meandering. you know? And I'm always trying to stay on this side of the line. A bike will actually be in traffic, you know? And I gotta say, I definitely take those little meandering paths seriously now, because this gets kind of sketchy, man. You get these people whizzing on by, and it's like, you don't know. It's weird too, because like some of the smallest cars, you see them, they start darting around. Like, it's like, dude, it's like, how did you even get your license? You know, it's like, I get it when you're a bigger vehicle. Like this right here is definitely one where I'm paying attention big time, because there's actually been, it was a, I think I was on this march, like this particular route, maybe like the second day or something. It might have even been the first day, but I was walking up this section we're coming to right here, and oh man, I pretty much almost, it was almost like a scene off that movie Hereditary, we'll put it that way. You know, I was walking, and some clown in a work truck, you know, some friggin' clown in a work truck, he didn't close his tool cabinet, is basically haphazardly attached to his vehicle. It was all like a homemade job, and it was probably a homemade box. The door, you can see that it was made of like a black, like diamond plate, you know, steel, and the door was open, flopped open, and it was basically at neck level. And he was flying, and he was hugging the line. And you'll see there's this section up here, I call it the hot gates, because it's where, like right up there, you see there's like this mirage, and it looks like, at least from my perspective, it looks like, you know, you're coming to this main road or whatever, but it's actually, you go over this one road, and then you're like, oh man, there's more road. So there's that, and I call that the hot gates. And then, you know, that what am I thinking? That's the gateway to the suck. The hot gates is actually the next one. Yeah, the hot gates is the next one, because it narrows. So yeah, this is I think it's Corona Road, where Corona and Adobe, I think that's what it is up here, where they come together. And then that's what I'm calling the gateway to the suck. And then the hot gates is just beyond that, and it's freaking horrible. But yeah, I was basically coming right up over that hill, and this guy, man, just like this vehicle right here, and it was, you know, if you could imagine like that door folded down right at, you know, neck level. If I wasn't paying attention, there would have been nowhere I could go, because it was an embankment next to me. You know, I mean, I could have jumped on the bank, but it's like, really, guy? It's like, seriously. And just yesterday, actually, there was another truck, kind of like that one, and the idiot freaking loaded it to where there was stuff sticking out the side like a freaking joust, man. It was like, what are you doing, guy? I don't understand where people, you know, insane, you know, insane. And so after seeing just a ton of just weird stuff, I'm like, you know, I need to catch this on video. And there's that, but then it was this, you know, I'm not even sure if I finished telling the story earlier, but there was this person, man, you know, anyway, there's this section that you walk on over on Petaluma Boulevard, and you see it's on the northbound side, and there's a memorial. And it's got two crosses. You know, I think I was telling you about the guy on the bike. But the thing I wanted to mention about the two crosses, you know, is years ago, I took a class in folklore. And it talked about that kind of stuff, you know? It explained, you know, when you see stuff like the crosses, and you know, you'll see where somebody will put a bike on the side of the road, you know, that it's a type of folklore because it's attached to the culture. It's a tradition that's handed down, and it varies. It changes over time. It's like something that's been, you know, again, it's because that is what essentially folklore is. It's something that's like a traditional cultural thing that's handed down, and it changes over time. Like people will take away or add, and so you'll get these variations of story. And whenever I would drive by and I'd see stuff like that, it was always in that context. Oh God. Oh God. Excuse me, I didn't expect to get emotional. Anyway, excuse me. It was always in that context. You know, you drive by, and you see it isn't anything maybe that you grew up with, you know, so you don't really, you know, you're like, and you see a bike and it's decorated and you know what it's about, you know, and you can have an opinion about it, you know. And that day, I was walking, you know. I was on Petaluma Boulevard, and I hadn't made it to that spot yet where those two crosses were. And you know, I think I made it clear my position when it comes to people on bikes, you know. So it's morning. Whenever I'm in there, whenever I'm in that section of the road, it's morning. It's like, you know, maybe not even 7 o'clock yet or whatever in the morning. So I'm walking, and all of a sudden I hear something coming from behind me, and I turn, and it's this guy, and I'm sure I described it earlier, and I'm like, you know, kind of, I was about to sit there and say something. I was about to sit there and say something, and I'm glad I didn't, because as I ended up, you know, he passed me. As I got there, I saw that it was his kids. Oh God. And it became so real. Oh. And my heart broke. My heart broke for him, because I knew he was broken. I could see it. And as he was cleaning the site. He was cleaning the site, and he saw me approaching, and I just wanted to give him his space, because I knew he was just hurting, missing his babies. And there's nothing anyone can say or do to take that pain away. The truth is it's only Jesus that can do it. That man needs healing, for sure. And then I think about the narcissistic bubbles that people drive around in, and how they feel like they have to drive so fast, and how they have to be so distracted all the time with cell phones or little dogs sitting on their lap because, oh my goodness, it's so cute. Big fat sandwiches in their face, doing everything that they shouldn't be doing, acting like somebody on the road just is in their way, and how dare they. Yeah, well, how dare you, sir or ma'am, how dare you be so reckless with somebody else's life. You all have options. And you think about it right here. This is something that blows my mind. All these people right here are essentially coming from a stop. I'm very visible right here. And they're still, generally speaking, this person looks like they're actually trying to slow down. But usually people are actually still trying to accelerate right here. Like somehow it's mandatory to accelerate right here. And a lot of the time it doesn't even matter what size vehicle, like this big truck here. I wouldn't doubt, because it gets a little more narrow here for them. But it's like, and I'm still here. Come to a full stop until I'm clear, bro. How about them apples? And I guarantee you one, if you clip me, you better kill me, because I'll rip you out of your freaking car. There needs to be more of a voice for this kind of bad behavior. And the thing is like, it's just people are getting away with it, you know. There aren't enough police to come out here and patrol, you know, and then everybody wants to justify it. And I've done it myself. I've been on these back roads. It's fun to drive fast. It's not safe. How many people die because you want to have fun? You know, and not only that, but it's like, do it for selfish reasons, for crying out loud. Could you imagine you murdering somebody because you wanted to drive fast, and then you got to live with that shit for the rest of your life? Can you imagine that? It's freaking brutal. It's freaking brutal. Our narcissistic nation on freaking steroids. And unfortunately, California has just become sort of the poster child for that garbage, I guess. I don't know. I think I know there's a lot of Californians that get a bad rap because I know there's a lot of Californians that are like me that don't buy into all the crap. But our voice has been stifled for I don't even know how many years. Since before I've actually started following politics, you know. And I didn't really start following politics until I got out of the Army, you know, till like 2008. I kind of did a little bit, but I didn't see a reason. I kind of don't agree with soldiers thinking that they need to go out there and get political, you know. I kind of don't agree that, and I really don't think that our military should be a social experiment. You know, we're supposed to be standing up for our nation, and yet we're acting as if, you know, people have a right to be in the military. It's like, that's not really true, actually. I appreciate that people want to serve, but if you don't cut the mustard, that's just what it is, you know. And to have like a fully functional, combat efficient, you know, military, you have to have standards, you know. You have to, and your standard needs to be better than the other guy. We need to be standing up stronger than all the other armies and militaries, but we're not. We're more concerned with our social media status and you know, our political correctness, and it's a pathetic reality that we live in right now. It is, you know, the whole what's a buzzword, I guess, the clown world, right? It's like we live in a clown world. It's pretty darn true, man. Pretty darn true. And it is what it is. All we can do is our best, and that's just what I'm trying to do right here. Because again, I'm trying to just shed light on this. And right now, again, I haven't seen a lot that anybody might want to sit there and be all up in arms about. I would argue that guy that just drove by, I think he's wrong for a lot of reasons. What he's doing with his mirrors is just like if you were going to run down the hallway with your arms sticking out both sides, you know? It's like, dude, you're a dick. You're not hauling anything, so why do you have your mirrors out? Because you want to have this larger profile. It's all about you. That's what it is. It's this stupid thing. It's like, look at me, look at my mirrors. It's like, all right, bro. Yeah, and then when you're sitting there and hugging that white line, you're going to sit there and decapitate somebody, you freaking jackass. You know, and again, it's like, I get it if you're hauling something. I do, because I understand, you know. And also, most of the time, and this isn't something that a bike would do either, right? Most of the time, though, when I look down the road, because I actually try to navigate, when I look down the road and I see a big vehicle, and from behind me, it's like if I know that there's a lot of like heavy traffic coming, and it's like a large, one of those big freaking heavy vehicles, I'm like, you know, if I can stand out of the way, I will stand out of the way. I will stop and I will yield, absolutely. Because there's no way I'm going to sit there and ask some giant vehicle that I know has, you know, a difficult time just maintaining because they're heavy. No, I'm not going to ask them to swerve. I'm not going to do it, you know. But again, guaranteed, a bike wouldn't try to move out of the way, and that truck would still navigate around them. And so my argument stands that because there wouldn't be any question whether or not a bike could actually move down this line, and my body is taking up less space than that bike. You know what I mean? So it's like, whatever. It is a matter of people, and that's the thing, is like, I've actually had people go out of their way to roll their windows down and yell at me. It's like, dude, I actually have a right to be here, bro. You know? I actually have a right to be here. And I'll argue that shit all the way to court, bro. And again, if you clip me, you better kill me. And I'm talking to this guy right freaking now. I don't care. If you clip me, you better kill me. Yeah, I think we need to do better in society. So that back there, that was the gateway to the suck. This is the hot gates up here. And it's lame, because people will actually accelerate to get up over that hill. It's a blind hill, and they actually go out of their way to accelerate. And to a certain, my folks, they're truck drivers, so I get it that truckers were like, well, I need to maintain my momentum. I'm like, well, you also need to be safe first, bro. I kind of don't care, you know. And if your company is going to be that dicky about, you know, maybe you're a little bit late, then maybe you should go work for another company or something, you know. I know there's a ton of jobs out there for drivers, so go work for another company. And then when people want to act like, I can't, it's like, no, you just don't want to. You actually would rather just, you know, live in your little comfort zone and, you know, work for a company that's going to abuse you rather than go find a freaking job that'll actually do you well in life, you know. I'm thinking that this camera's brushing people off because I guarantee you, I was wondering if that was going to happen. And it's funny to me because, like, the last day that I was like, I was barking at vehicles going by. I was like, you better give me space, you know, because some people were getting a little nutty that day, and I was just done. Because I think it was like the next day after that dude like literally ran me off. I had to dive down that fucking trench, and man, tell you what. So then I was like, you know what? I need to get this on video, and that was my theory. Is like as soon as I got a camera strap, these folks are probably gonna not want to be on camera. You know, and I want to apologize because I think there's been a couple of times where I've used the F-bomb. I do want to suggest to you that I am a Christian. Unfortunately, I still end up using poor language in stressful situations on occasion. I do my best, but sometimes those kind of flowery words flourish. Like, look at this clown. He's the smallest vehicle. He's like, really? That guy started aiming at me. It's like, guy, come on, man. Because again, it's like, I don't care. It's like, dude, it's like, slow the fuck down. How about them apples? How about that? Because they come barreling over this hill. It's like, oh, it's like, yeah, maybe you should have realized there might have been something over the hill, bro. This section is crazy for snakes too. Like, ever since day one on this route, I've come up. We'll be passing this corpse, this old dead snake, and I remember when he was fresh. I wish I got it on video, man, because I could have did a time lapse. Oh man, it was so weird too because I was like walking it and I saw it and I was like, ugh, and it was so fresh. I was like, that, like, you know, I couldn't tell if it would be moving or not, you know, but I couldn't see its head. So that was kind of stressful. I was like, oh man, here it is, I think. There's also like this weird snare right here too. There it is right there. Yeah, ugly thing. Man, that sun just got dried it out like crazy. Yeah, it was weird. I've been seeing, there was like a little pile of snakes over here. I don't know what happened to them. It's interesting though, you know, like some of the oddball stuff you see on the road. And then you realize, like, well, yeah, things die on the side of the road, and it sucks. So that was the hot gates. And from now on, actually, it's pretty smooth sailing. That was the sketch of the road. Definitely the sketch. To kind of zip up the old sphincter. Oh, goodness. So, because I don't know if that even is still recording right now, I'm going to call it right now. I'm going to call that the premiere of the Old Adobe Rd Report. And I will be picking it up tomorrow. But part of the reason why it needs to be sort of a short report is just because, you know, I don't have a production crew, so once I'm done with this, I need to sit there and go and edit it down. I took some video earlier that I'm going to add in, and I'm going to put it together and make hopefully a video. And hopefully this all turned out and it's not too embarrassing. I am going to post it regardless, and over time it will get better. And I appreciate your time.